Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 82 today for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys didn't miss the previous one, the Japanese Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. That was a very decent episode for the team as a whole, and for myself. We took the lead, or retook the lead, of the Drivers' Championship ahead of Pierre Gasly now by 2 points, I think it is, so it is still very fine margins, but Mexico should be a decent Grand Prix for us. We know Red Bull aren't particularly quick right now in a straight line, even though we're all maxed out. The Red Bull's still a bit slow in a straight line compared to the Mercedes car, and we've got obviously a lot of great speed with DRS open as well, so the main straight should be a really good one. But we do have an issue here at the start of the episode. You can see I've got a lot of worn engine parts, so we're going to go ahead and qualify normally and then see what we're at, but I might need to take 1 or 2 penalties here to change components. We only got 4 episodes left of the season, and so it's pretty much crunch time. And if I look at the other races we've got USA, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, then I think Mexico would probably be one of the best circuits to really take an engine penalty like this. Obviously, I think there's more places to overtake, basically, at this circuit versus USA and Brazil and Abu Dhabi, and especially versus the AI on the game. The AI are a lot more consistent around USA and Brazil versus Mexico, so I think we have a better chance of recovering position. So that's where we're at, basically, but for now, we'll just take qualifying normally and then see where we're at with the how worn everything is, basically. But so let's go to Saturday then and see what we do over 1 lap.
Not long now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias, and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
So moving into our first final lap of the entirety of Saturday in Q1 here on the soft tyres at the moment here. I am thinking about maybe potentially moving to the mediums for Q2, but for now in Q1 we'll just qualify on this set of soft tyres. We've got enough soft tyres to kind of work with, basically, so across the line, and then it's going to be P3 then behind Devon Butler and Gasly, and in the end of it, it's going to be P3 ahead of Hamilton then, so I'm actually looking pretty quick actually compared to Hamilton. For once he hasn't thrashed me in Q1, but it's all looking very like Noah's Ark there with 2x2. The 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercs and 2 McLarens, but of course Gasly right up there getting through into the second part of qualifying. But now here we are on the yellow wall medium tyres. So the reason why I've chosen this compounded tyre is if we take enough penalties, we are going to be towards the back end of the grid, basically, and I will have to start on the compounded tyre I qualify Q2 in if I do get through into Q3. Now I know it seems kind of counterintuitive to basically do all of this, but obviously I kind of don't want it to just be a kind of boring part where we just don't do qualifying at all for the sake of, you know, being as efficient as possible. Basically, I want to have a kind of a nice entertaining episode, so I did want to take part in qualifying, and qualifying on the medium tyres still does open us up now to a very good strategy, to be fair, if we decide to take it, basically. But we are up into the top 10 shootout in P2, Hamilton in P4 there, Verstappen looking a little bit better in the Renault then, and Butler a little bit slow with Gasly P1 there in Q2. But now we are going to officially start on the medium compounded tyres in tomorrow's race, but that will open us up to potentially maybe a 1 stop, and that will still be a very good strategy from the back of the grid either way. But if you're wondering that's why I've done it this way, yes, I know I could probably get more advantage by just not taking part in qualifying, but I just thought I want to, for the sake of the episode, trying to get through and just see kind of what pace we have also over 1 lap, really, because at the moment we're on provisional pole. We're down to P2 now, but it's a 1-2 for Mercedes as it stands. We're both ahead of Gasly there, so the Merc coming alive in the top 10 shootout here at the moment. Verstappen P4, so again showing some good pace. He's actually the car right ahead of us. We've set a red first sector, purple second sector, so a little bit odd there. I thought we would have lost some more time in the second sector, really, with a dirty air of Verstappen, and we definitely do get a bit of understeer as we go through the last few turns from Verstappen's rear end. So as we go through the last corner, then we gain a decent amount of time across the line, and it's going to be P2 in the end. We solidify that position and don't climb up anymore, but we do close the gap up to Hamilton, so actually quite close, a lot closer than it was at the Japanese Grand Prix between myself and my team at Hamilton. happen there, and it's a front row lockout for Mercedes with Gasly in P3. Of course, it would be a front row lockout, but we are going to take those penalties. And in the end, looking at all the percentages, I thought, you know what, if we're going to take 2 penalties, we may as well take all of them, because 2 penalties is already 20 places on the grid. So we may as well take all of them, included the gearbox as well. So we will be starting right from the back of the grid, but we will start on the set of medium tyres we qualified in Q2 on. They are going to be a little bit worn, but they're still going to be pretty decent medium tyres. So I think we still will have some sort of advantage to play around with come the race strategy. So let's go to the grid and see how we do on Sunday.
Formula One may have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Butler, Verstappen, Lance Stroll and Giovinazzi, Russell, Grosjean, Bottas and Daniel Kvyat, Leclerc, Hülkenberg, Sebastian Vettel and Perez. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Weber, Norris, Kevin Magnussen and Kimi Räikkönen, Ricciardo and the engineer. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the grid in P20 after our 65 place grid penalty or something like that, I think. And so, well, in terms of the race strategy, the one stop is available to us from the mediums to the hards, but my engineer has actually selected still a 2-stop here. But obviously this 2-stop now is a little bit different and a little bit out of sync compared to the rest of everyone else, because we'll be starting on the mediums. But I'm going to change it a little bit and go for 2 sets of mediums in a row, then finish on a set of soft tires. I'm going to stick with this strategy right now, as my engineer's recommended it to me, but there may be a chance I switch to that 1-stop depending on where we are, how much traffic we hit in the first stint basically, and if I think it's going to be worthwhile for us to jump up some more positions by making 1 less stop. But we'll just see how it goes and play it by ear basically. But here we go then to 5 red lights to the Mexican Grand Prix. Pretty crucial race for us in the championship fight here, trying to limit the damage to Pierre Gasly today. 5 red lights are out and we're underway, and it's a slow start really, as it always would be on medium tyres versus everyone else on the soft tyres. It's a long run to turn 1, so we're just going to take this nice and easy and see where we can go. You can see all the sparks flying in. It looks like an absolute beehive of cars into turn 1. We're going to try and dive down the inside of 2 cars there. The Alfa Romeo though pinches us of Raikkonen into the first turn, and so in the end we're still in last place by the time we get through the first few turns there. Surprisingly, now on the exit, Raikkonen gets a little bit misshapen there with the Ferrari, and so we're on the right hand side trying to make a double overtake work, maybe even triple overtake, with Kevin Magnussen going slow on the inside there. Round outside we go for P17, squeeze out the Dane in the Williams car. We're going to have a little look at Lando Norris because he goes very slow on the brakes, but then chops me off completely there, and we go sideways on the exit, and so much so we lose so much grip that Magnussen actually overtakes me, and then Raikkonen overtakes me as well on the inside. I don't know what on earth's going on there, but some kamikaze diving from the AI as Raikkonen makes a pretty damn awesome double overtake there actually on myself and Magnussen, to be fair to him there. But I don't know what went on there. Like, the AI just went absolutely berserk. I did not expect Raikkonen to get me, nor really Magnussen, to be honest, but it was all coming off the back of Norris chopping me off after a half-hearted kind of attack, I guess, from myself. But we now move on to lap number 3, and we're still P18, so we're making pretty slow progress, to be honest. if I look back at previous times, we started from the back of the grid, and also considering the circuit we're at there. So we need to try and get a move on here. It's 3 wide, though, between Vettel, Raikkonen, and Lando Norris. So the AI are really having a great day of scrapping here today at the Mexican GP. But now we're going to try and get Lando Norris. We've not had the best exit, though, off that right-hander. But onto the left, Vettel locks up on the front right. That allows us to actually go through there because he kind of blocks off Norris. And we're going to squeeze him right out there and give him a taste of his own medicine that we had on lap number 1. And now we're up into P17 behind the German Sebastian Vettel here. And Raikkonen making some good progress, though, as he's already overtaken 2 cars then after he took myself and Magnussen there. So we need to try and basically follow in Raikkonen's footsteps, essentially, and try and get through and cut through this traffic as fast as we can. So here we go now on Vettel. Will be a pretty simple move with DRS open there. And that's what I was hoping would be the case for a lot of these overtakes. But actually, these guys are proving to be a little bit more difficult to overtake than I thought so. Obviously, the medium to soft tyre difference is still in advantage of the soft tyre right now on lap number 5. But come around lap number 8 towards 10, I feel like that's where our tyres should be technically faster then, as the tyre wear should kick in a little bit faster, of course, for the soft tyre runners. So just about patience, really, I guess, in this race. But we're going to actually be a little bit impatient right now and dive down the inside of Raikkonen. There was a massive dive and a little bit cheeky there, to be honest. We made a lot of contact with him on the inside there, but caught him napping somewhat. We're now side by side, though. He keeps his nose in, and it's a great little squabble between me and my former teammate from seasons 1 and 2 of this career mode here. But down the inside we go, get the move done, up into P15 now. 5 places off the top 10 now. But Lucas Weber is the next man up there, the man who dominated the first kind of 4 or 5 races of this season, down in P14 then. So this season really has been a topsy-turvy one in terms of how it's moved and ebbed and flowed in terms of the kind of pecking order and who's on top and who's not. And so can we try and overtake Lucas sooner rather than later? Trying to line up a move here as we try and get a better exit through the right-hander. We're going to get one. Down the inside we go. Weber's going to give us the space there. So good respect between myself and my former F2 teammate there. And we're up into P14 then. And now we can try and get on the back of Sergio Perez. But that might be a little bit tougher. The McLaren is a little bit quicker, I think, in the corners especially versus the Renault there. But good to dispatch Weber very quickly indeed. But we've got a big train up ahead of Valtteri Bottas, Giovinazzi as well. Can we make a move on the outside then? A bit unorthodox here. Sergio Perez at his home GP squeezing me right out there and doesn't give me any room to work with there. So of course he's probably going to drive harder than he normally would do at any Grand Prix, being his home GP. But now here he goes then for a move on Giovinazzi. So instead of overtaking Perez, we might need to overtake the Italian first and then get the Mexican at some other point there side by side. And if they're going to try and hold it side by side now for the next section, that might just help us out. They're going to slow each other down very much so there. Giovinazzi being squeezed out very much by Sergio Perez. We're going to get him down the inside already, but can we go now for the double pass and get Sergio Perez to move to the inside? Then he's going to squeeze us quite a fair bit though, but we're going to try it down the inside, lock up at the front left. We narrowly avoid contact with Perez though, but we get absolutely sent and dive bombed by Lucas Weber, and Weber has just slammed into the side of us and trying to take us out of the GP or push us wide, but he's definitely made some massive contact with us, and he's just overtaken us very unfairly, I would say, because if you look at the replay here, I've overtaken Giovinazzi. We go for the move on Perez. Weber goes around the outside, but then look at this. He goes from so far back. What on earth is he thinking? He's got no room to work with there, and yet he thinks, okay, we're overtaking Giovinazzi just about, and then we're just going to make a massive lunge on the Mercedes car, who's clearly going to close up on the apex there, and I almost did fully kind of get T-bone spun by him there. So very, again, the AI proving very, very aggressive at this race for some random reason, but we now move straight back to the action there, because we're not going to have any of that. Straight away through Sector 2 into Sector 3, we're going to go down the inside of Weber. We're going to squeeze him out a bit, just as aggressive as he was to us there as we enter the stadium section, get back up into P13 there. But I was caught by such surprise by that, because I thought, okay, I've just narrowly missed contact with Perez, and I'm going to try my best to maybe still get on the back of him. Obviously, I had to give that up in the right-hander, but the last thing I was thinking of was I was going to be dive bombed then by Weber or Giovinazzi, or anyone really on that right-hander. So very surprised there, but we got the move back done. And so we're up into P9. We live to fight another day, but we're now up into P4 by the time we get to lap number 12, and we will be up into P1 as it stands now on lap 13, because remember, pretty much everyone around us, ahead of us for sure, was on the soft compounded tyre. There might have been some people on mediums, but they're all behind me at that stage of the GP, so I am now the leader of the GP. As we move on to lap number 14 though, Hamilton Hamilton is in second place. We're on non-ERS, you can see on the bottom right there, because there is no point fighting Hamilton at this stage. I'm not in the same race as him right now. I'm trying to get back up the order of the grid. He's leading the Grand Prix at the moment, I assume. Well, now he's definitely leading the Grand Prix, but I assume he was leading ahead of the two Red Bulls that entire first stint. So he is right now racing for a race win. I am trying to do the best job at recovering my drive, basically. So I didn't put up too much of a fight there, and for good measure. And we move on to lap number 15. Now, I did want to try and put up more of a fight on Verstappen, because I wasn't sure, you know, maybe I might be fighting Verstappen. There is a bit of a gap there from Verstappen to Hamilton, but of course it's not my teammate, so that's also why I thought I'd just give Verstappen a bit more of a fight. But into turn one, he outbrakes me there very cleanly indeed, as the grip levels are going lower and lower on the mediums I'm running, and so he gets up into P2. So I thought, okay, alas, I think that's probably us done, to be honest, but we'll just carry on as we are. And on lap 16, to be fair, surprisingly, I actually set my PB lap time here, because I actually got the DRS off Verstappen, which gained me about 4/10 in Sector 1 alone. Sector 2 was decent, and Sector 3 there was also pretty decent. So you can see that I set my personal best lap time on pretty worn medium tyres on lap 17. Probably all thanks to Verstappen there, because I've said this before, but I definitely am one of those drivers that I go faster when I have a target to aim for. Like, if I'm just driving in thin air, I definitely lose a bit of concentration. But if I've got a car to chase, I definitely go a little bit faster, basically. So I definitely went faster with Verstappen there, helping me out, so that kind of did help my cause a little bit. But we now make our pit stop, and you can see clearly we pit on to a set of hard tyres, the white wall tyres. So I haven't mentioned it so far, but basically that entire time, whilst I was letting Hamilton through and letting Verstappen through, I thought, you know what, the only way I'm really going to truly get back into this Grand Prix, into the top 5, I mean, is going to be by doing a one stop. I think if we do a two stop, we're going to end up just fighting, well, the likes of Giovinazzi here again, once we make our second stop here. So I want to try and overtake him now, get it over and done with, and then basically never see him again in this Grand Prix. I have a little look on the inside into the stadium section, didn't work out there, so Gio putting up a decent fight in the Haas car right now, but 16 laps to go. These hard tyres will comfortably make those laps, basically. So it's a case of hopefully the pace being good enough that we can jump some people that are going to make that second stop in the Grand Prix. So here we go now, closing up on Giovinazzi. We're up into P13 now, as also one or two cars were in the pit lane. Weber now is next up. He's just been overtaken by the car ahead there, surprisingly. So now here we go now on Lucas Weber for the second time now in this race, overtaking him. He's on the soft tyres though, so he will have a bit of an advantage there, but we're going to try and squeeze him out as best we can into turns 1 and 2, up into P12, and now try and close up on Kimi Raikkonen here. So this is the thing, this is the crucial part of the race where I need to make the overtakes. Even though they're on soft tyres, I need to make the move right now down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen, but obviously right now his tyre wear will be kicking in as well. So at this stage, maybe probably on this lap or the next lap, those tyres very much will be probably slower than my hard tyres. So now this is where the advantage of my strategy is coming into play. But here we go now to lap 26, and this is when my strategy also pays out in terms of jumping people and really trying to limit the damage, because there goes Pierre Gasly. He's made his second stop of the afternoon, and he is now behind me. So it's very close margins, but we are ahead of Gasly. But I'm sure on a fresh set of soft tyres, he's going to come at me at a rate of knots. And lo and behold, lap 26, literally the very next lap, he comes at me now with DRS. We've got overtake mode and rich mix to use, and there goes Devin Butler. I did not even see him coming out the pit lane there, so I almost just completely crashed and DNF'd myself out the GP there with Devin Butler. But we're going to try and defend as best we can against Pierre Gasly. He's got the fresher tyres, he's got the advantage for sure. But if we can just try and do the best job we can at keeping him at bay, we might just be able to stay ahead of him in this Grand Prix. And if not, we just try and limit the damage and try and slow him down so he doesn't get any more points than, you know, the P3 that I'm in currently. And so as we move on to lap 29 then, Butler and Gasly coming at me. Butler's overtaken Gasly, and now they're going to try a double attack, I think, because Butler is going to help Gasly with the slipstream there. You can see Gasly's down the inside of Butler, so it's going to be maybe 3 wide into turn 1. Not so much as I cut them off, but there they go. Now round the outside, they make some contact with me. Butler gets the elbows out there, Gasly's got the elbows out, and they both push past me. And so Gasly's up into P3, Butler P4. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen, but I compromised my line too much into turn 2, and then they just, I don't know, just sent it basically. As I've said, the AI seemed to be very aggressive for whatever reason this race, and so they both just got their necks out there and pushed me wide, and so they're up the order, and so now we're down to P5 then. Leclerc is behind me in P6 in the Toro Rosso on medium tyres, so he's a bit out of sync in terms of the strategy play here in this Grand Prix, but oh well. But here we go now, re-overtaking Butler though, because I think he might have sustained a little bit of damage, you know, in that kind of 3 wide moment into turns 2 and 3. Like right here, I think he might have got some damage potentially there as I closed up on him pretty well. But lap 31, he comes back at me with DRS here, so it just looks like maybe he's just not as quick as his teammate Gasly, to be fair. And so he now goes down the inside there. We're going to let him go though, because I feel like we do have the pace to close back up on him and keep up with him in Sector 2. Because as we go on through the laps, again, his soft tyres will wear out, and my hard tyres can just keep on going for lap after lap. They really are. They might be pretty slow tyres, but they're so durable around Mexico especially. So here we go now, lap 32. We close back up with DRS there. We're in lead mixture actually at the moment here because we're getting so much speed with DRS. And so here we go around the outside to get back up into P4. We really chop him off at the apex there for P4. And so now we're going to try and hold this through to the end of the Grand Prix. We've got 4 laps left in this race. Can we hopefully hold this through? We'll have to see as we move on out to lap 34. Leclerc now is up into P5, so he's overtaking Butler. So Butler really losing a lot of pace in this GP then, surprisingly there. And Fiat also getting involved in P5 in the Alfa Romeo, so that's going to help me out. But Lewis Hamilton, oh wow. Oh wow. Again, Lewis Hamilton is out of another Grand Prix. Can you believe? You cannot make this stuff up. That is what? The 6th or 7th DNF or mechanical failure he's had in the last 7-8 episodes. Yeah, I can't say much. I'm actually speechless. I can't say much more, folks. Yeah, he's out of the Grand Prix. So Max Verstappen gets handed the victory here at the Mexican GP for first place there. Gasly up into P2. I somehow finessed my way up into a podium there from last place on the grid, and we limited the damage as much as we could to Gasly. He'll only gain 3 points on us, so that'll be pretty damn decent for us. But it's another very weird, bittersweet ending for a Grand Prix to see my teammate out of the GP. But for us, P20 to P3, it's been a fantastic one for us, to be fair.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Renault have pulled off a sublime performance to secure the top step of the podium today. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Renault team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their drivers walk out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So Max Verstappen then wins that Grand Prix. We get a podium from P20, which is a very good recovery. And like I said at the very start of the race, this is probably a very crucial race for the championship in terms of what we've just done there. We're now giving ourselves a fresh set of engine parts, or somewhat fresh. Obviously, we used the parts today, but somewhat fresh parts now for the remainder of the season. No more penalties for us then for the last 3 races, and we've limited damage there to only 1 point now in the championship between myself and Gasly. And the constructors as well, we did our best job. Obviously, Butler did score some okay points, and Gasly there in P2, so the Red Bull keep a gap of 13 points there, but very much both title championships are still alive and for the taking in the last 3 episodes. We go then to USA, Brazil and Abu Dhabi then, but that was a very, very good race for us. Really a fun one actually in the end of it, but a little bit disconcerting at the start there. I was a little bit worried that we weren't going to recover too much there because we were so slow on the mediums, but then it came through kind of obviously by switching to the 1-stop. But I just can't believe that again, Hamilton with another DNF. A few of you saying that I probably wouldn't DNF as much if I invested in reliability, but you got to remember, halfway through the season, I didn't do any performance upgrades. I only focused on reliability, things like the gearbox and stuff like that. Obviously, we didn't do as many reliability upgrades as we maybe could have, but then at that point in the season, we started saving to kind of, invest in obviously adjusting the R&D parts that are going to get reset for the next season. So it's kind of, a give or take there, but I still think it's kind of a little bit ridiculous from the game to give Hamilton that much bad luck and bad reliability, because I'm sure other teams don't have as many reliability upgrades as us as well, and they're not getting the same DNF. So I feel like it's a little bit of a glitch in the code. Like I said, almost like back in F1 2017, where Sebastian Vettel had about the same kind of, 8 or 7 DNFs at the end of the season, where he kind of handed me the championship in the end, whatever it was, like, 2 years ago now, or 3 years really, as we're in 2020 obviously now. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, subscribe for weekly follow-on content. I've been aarava, and we just today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.